just want to do research because I want to do research.
That's
I want to see,
yeah.
I want to conduct research and see the impact that it has on people, that it has within the society, and to be able to bridge the gap. You understand? So those are some of the things that pushes me and drives me to continue to, and I love using social behavioral change communication to talk about healthy eating. I mean, talking about nutrition to people, advice. I counsel not only patients, even family counseling. I create menu plan for families. I do a lot of things, and in the process, it's still conducting research because you're meeting people, you're discussing with them, you're collecting data from them, you're analyzing it, you're turning it into information that at the end of the day, when you disseminate, it should create the kind of positive change that we are looking for in the diverse sectors where we are.
Okay. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another session of Academic Research Logs. Today, I've got a very good friend of mine with me, and I'm privileged to call her a friend. Her name is Dolapo, and we go such a long way, but I'm going to let her introduce herself to us, her area of expertise, and what she's been up to lately. So, Dolapo, you can take the floor if you don't mind, and tell us your area if you can. Please.
Okay, thank you, Tomi, for having me on your channel.
It is a pleasure, an absolute pleasure.
So when you sent me the invite, I was like, wow. Okay, so we're here, and I'm Dolapo Enejoh, and I've worn many hats, like in the last 2 decades, I would say. So doing a lot of work, doing a lot of research. I started out doing, everything, academic research, but I've also now gone into doing a lot of work in government and really trying to implement research in different environments across different economic sectors. So I would say, my background is in biochemistry. I studied biochemistry for my first degree. And I remember it was after my first research that I decided I was not going to do bench work again.
You moved over to the side. Should we say dark side? I don't want to say dark side.
I was like, no. I was like, there should be other alternatives to get research done and to be able to make sense of what academic research is. So, but just to give you a little bit of background, my first academic research was in looking at food constituents. So I was looking, reviewing a particular antioxidant in food substances, and that is beta-carotene, which you would normally find in foods that contain vitamin A and the like. So I was looking at, because I was really interested in food. For a very long time, I would watch culinary shows. I wanted to just understand what was going on behind everything that we ate and how it helped either to increase our lifespan, to help with to improve longevity, or to also help to prevent diseases. So because again, we're talking about preventive medicine. So, and that was one of the things that pushed me into doing my first research. So I was looking at the effect of beta-carotene on the effect of cooking, so different method of cooking. So whether you microwaved your food, or you boiled it, or you ate it raw, or whichever way you prepared your dish, whether we're able to get all the constituents or all the nutritional ingredients in a particular kind of food. So that was what I was looking out for, because I remember growing up, how some people would say, oh, don't use cold water to wash your spinach. Don't use hot water to wash don't use hot water to wash your spinach. If not, you're cleaning out all the essential ingredients, minerals, vitamins that you should enjoy and that should nourish your body. So I was really inquisitive at that point in time. I was really curious to understand what was happening. So I was able to, make some conclusion, but there was some part of the research that was also inconclusive. The fact that the environment in which the research was done was really appalling, but I to the best of my ability, I did what I could do. Like some of the when it's the reagents you needed in the laboratory, sometimes were not available. I had to take money out of my pocket to go and, buy them. And even some scientific equipment that you needed to dry foods in the laboratory, that you needed to do essential things like basic things were not really available. So at that point in time, I told myself, I don't think I want to spend my time in the laboratory. And then at that point as well, I'd gone through industrial training where I was able to play around with a lot of equipment like the atomic absorption spectrophotometer. I was able to also use some essential equipment like the high performance liquid chromatography, what do you call it? And high liquid performance chromatography equipment in the laboratory, where we use it to look out for essential vitamins and minerals in different foods. So because I worked in a food agency where we would look out for trace metals in food substances, like labeled packaged foods that were being sold on market shelves. And I remember at the time when I worked with this food agency, there was a particular issue that happened at some point where some people were on a fast, and they ate a particular meal. Yam flour was turned into amala, our regular Yoruba and Nigerian semi-solid food. And after eating, the mother of the family died. I think 2 or 3 of the children died. And then they brought samples of their vomit, samples of the yam flour, samples of the semi-solid prepared dish itself to the laboratory, to the research laboratory, for us to review it, to test it, to look for what substances caused this with these people that eventually died. And we discovered that there was excess of pesticide residues from the farm. Oh, no. So that actually led to my journey. On brainstorming and thinking around, so what happens to what we eat? From the time a farmer plants the seed into the soil to the time they till the land, they do all the processes involved with producing food on the farm, to the point where all the aggregators come to aggregate it from the farm gate and to the market, and then onto when the consumers would go on to purchase, and then it lands on your plate. So I was really I was really interested in understanding the processes all the processes going on in that value chain. And that was one of the things that actually pushed me to doing my first research. But having done the first research and I saw the outcome, we graduated, but I really wanted more. I was thirsty. I really wanted to know more. And I felt, I think I needed to do a master's program. And that was what led me to do my first master's program in University of Sheffield in England. But it was a different ball game. You had sophisticated equipment. The laboratory was well equipped. There was funding from the government. There was funding from the private sector. There was funding from charity sector, from even individuals, to ensure that everything that you needed for a laboratory to fully function or to be fully operationalized was made available. So that changed the narrative for me. I was like, wow, interesting.
Everything's there.
But again, because of the first experience I had, I didn't still want to choose a research topic that would make me to do a lot of work in the laboratory. I wanted something that would take me outside the laboratory, that would make me to really engage in other methods of conducting research. And that was when I started understanding qualitative methodology of academic research. Because what I did before, yes, it included bench work. It was, it was really more quantitative rather than qualitative. So with my master's program, I was looking at so it was a double-blinded controlled randomized trial where we were looking at the effects of vitamin D deficiency in irritable bowel syndrome patients at the University of Sheffield Teaching Hospital. Yeah. So, I mean, the research was quite rich and robust. It was really interesting. I really understood a lot of things happening with, you know, some vitamins, some minerals. So my job on the research work was to meet with some volunteer participants who had irritable bowel syndrome who had irritable bowel syndrome. And I would engage them, give them a food diary for them to fill in the period of a week. And I also gave them food frequency questionnaire for them to fill out what they typically ate in the period of a year. So I took the food frequency questionnaires and the food diaries, and I started analyzing what foods they were eating and how it affected the symptoms, whether it then amplified the symptoms they had, or whether it lessened the pain that they were going through with their peculiar situation. So, and I was able to, you know, really learn a lot, because we had a group that we were administering vitamin D, because, you know, normally in the UK, access to the sunlight, it's not as you have it in the tropics. Yes. So that was one of the hypotheses, to say that maybe because these particular patients did not have access to more sunlight throughout the year, maybe that was the reason why there was an amplification of the symptoms that they had, because some of them came down with a lot of stooling, some of them came down with a lot of pain, and they always had to be on pain relief tablet because of, you know, so. And those were things that were, so we administered on another group probiotics and vitamin D, on another group just placebo, and a third group we just gave them only vitamin D. And looking at all the differences, the outcome of the research, reviewing the three groups, I was able to see that for the groups that had the vitamin D and the vitamin D supplement and the probiotic administered to them, the symptoms was quite improved. Their well-being, in terms of, there was a little bit of, there was a major difference. There was a major difference compared to those who only had the vitamin D deficiency alone. But overall, people who had the vitamin D supplements had some form of what do you call it? They had some form of less pain, and some form of their symptoms being reduced in the process of taking those supplements. So, and, you know, going through that research and administering all the intervention and looking at the outcome, I was really pleased. I was like, wow. So you can use this to test some other things. And that was just the quantitative aspect of the research. We then went further to start looking at the qualitative aspect of the research by bringing the participants together in the focus group discussion to get them to say more. And so it was more like using ethnographic research methodology to understand what this irritable bowel syndrome patients really encountered in the process of going through the symptoms and every other thing that, you know, was peculiar to the disease. And we learned more conducting the focus group discussion, and also engaging them in key informant interviews for those who maybe the disease had escalated to another level, or for those, so looking at whether it was mild, it was intermediate, or it was advanced, you understand? So we were able to review the outcomes in that regard. And I think it was really a stepping stone for me to really start owning my space in conducting academic research. So that gave me a different experience altogether compared to my previous experience doing my first research. So I did my master's program in human nutrition and then specialized in public health nutrition. And by the time I was going back to Nigeria to work, I then decided, since I'd made up my mind that I was not going to do bench work again, I wanted to go to the field, interact more with people. I wanted to see people. I don't know, for me, and we are all different as researchers.
Absolutely.
I'm not that kind of person who is used to routinous, a monotonous way of doing research, just being in the lab, mixing reagents and slapping this together and injecting some rat and some rabbit and testing all of that. Yes, it is quite interesting for those that want to do it. Yeah, but for me, I found using qualitative methodology in research quite interesting, because you can feel the pain when people discuss with you. You are interviewing somebody. It's like you're putting yourself in their shoes by actively listening to them. I mean, interviewing them, asking them questions. It may not even be about a disease or something. It may be about something else. But for me, I felt like interacting people was more important to me in terms of engaging in academic research. And that was the reason why I then, went that route. So the first organization I worked with, one of the things that major thing we did was to promote vitamin A supplementation for children 0 to 59 months, because vitamin A is a very, very, vitamin A supplement is very, very important for growth, for good sight, for a lot of other things that you find in research that, has been attached as importance to why we should take vitamin A. So, and, I would normally travel to different states, different primary healthcare centers, ensure that these interventions, reached the unreached, like in rural, remote communities that you wouldn't even have imagined. Those were places that the organization, usually send us to work. And we found a lot of important, should I say important? No, important. We found a lot of positive outcomes with the intervention that was being administered to these children and also to women. So you say a woman should go for antenatal care services. What do you avail them with when they go for the antenatal care services for an adequate child fetus growth? You have to ensure they have access to iron tablet. They have access to folic acid. That's like the basic. So having worked with, a couple of other international NGOs where we administer different interventions, diverse interventions, you would see that the way you do research in a laboratory is different from how you get it done on the field, because you are meeting real people with real problems. You are able to ask them questions. You are able to really analyze their narrative and be able to draw conclusions from analyzing feedback from whatever interview you engage them on and all of that. And for me, I feel that is really important in conducting research. So I've been able to marry the two, merging quantitative and qualitative methods of research to come up with different outcomes that we then use to influence policy reforms, to influence best practices.